perfect.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to hold it.
All right, it's 6:07. I'd like to call this meeting to order. My apologies for the tardy start.
Yes,
Please
6:07.
rise for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Lewis. Here. Trustee Pine.
Aye.
Trustee Dixon.
Hey.
Trustee Ryan.
Here.
Trustee Patton.
Here.
Evan is absent.
Yes.
because
He's at the election.
That's right.
He'll be working.
All right.
Also,
Yeah.
the president is Bill Different.
I think that's going to be I think that's going to be close.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
One thing I forgot to do at the organizational meeting, apparently officially, is to name my deputy mayor this year. So
Congratulations, Vanessa.
Name Bobby Ryan. Yeah.
No, Denise fine.
Okay, yeah, right. Denise fine. All right. I know I'd like to officially name Bobby Ryan again as deputy mayor. Thank you,
All
Bobby.
right, Clive.
Thank you. Yes, I will.
Great.
I object.
Brian.
Yeah. No. All right. This is a sort of an extra meeting on the roll. We don't have a people to be heard, but that doesn't mean we're not going to hear people when those issues come up on any of the subjects we're talking through today. We're talking through the tentative budget, village assessments, a local law pertaining to parking restrictions, local law to correct the zoning, and a couple other things at the bottom. So if we get to those points and you have something you want to share, just raise your hand. We'll call on you, and as always, meetings are recorded, and we ask that you say your name and address while letting them speak. At this point, I want to open up discussion continuing related to tentative budget for 2018 and 2019. We have gone over this. I met with a few of you and talked to you over the phone in detail about it. I guess this would be a chance to ask any other questions or bring up any other points. But if there are none, I'd be looking for a motion to adopt the budget. But I first want to make sure you guys have a chance to ask questions and discuss anything about this.
The one question I had was regarding the money we pay the county for the 911.
That's the deal that came out of when Matt Monahan was here. Bob Ash is still working on that with the county.
Right, but is it? I mean, it's in the budget though, right?
Let's see, I don't think it is.
Well, dispatch is in here, but I can't. It says it's broke up by water, by sewer, and because it's like $14,000.
Yeah, but that's not. It wouldn't be.
Was that under the police budget, or is that under our general?
I was just curious if it was on here. It's contractual other.
That is from last. That's from 15, 16,
Right.
16, 17.
And there's what we.
Hey Ben.
We have 1,000
Yes.
budget in there. I don't think we have.
Yes.
We're still talking
I
about
have
some.
it.
I don't think we have
Okay.
a plan to pay that. And
Okay.
that's been communicated.
I got one too.
Okay.
So
That's all I wanted to make
Yeah,
sure. I
no,
saw it in there, and I just wanted to make sure that
good question.
I don't think we should be paying that because everybody pays for 911 in their phone bills,
Right. Which, again, I don't quite understand that whole.
and not every village in the county pays either.
Yes.
So why should we pay when
Yes.
others aren't?
Yes. Any other questions, comments they bring up? Anyone?
This is time to bring up what I had mentioned about the chamber
Go for it.
membership. We're paying each year
$760, I think, right, Brian? Yeah.
Yeah, and to me, I thought the membership might be less, but in an evaluating of in my year on the board and even as a resident citizen ahead of time, I've never seen a benefit from the chamber. I've not seen them do anything where we have businesses come as a result of being a member. I see a lot of newsletters. I see a lot of, I'd say, bragging. You know, we're award-winning. We have this email database, but none of that is actionable in helping us to grow. And I feel like that money could be used in a more productive way, whether it's something breaks at the water plant or the sewer plant, or Neil needs something. I feel like that's a kind of a large sum of money for a village that doesn't have a lot. And I think I'd like to explore, I hear again and again about their benefits from them, but their job is to maintain a membership, and I don't see the return on investment for Hoosick Falls as a village to be part of that at this time. Just to add one other thing too, when they came up and we spent an afternoon with them doing a bus tour of businesses in the area. And also another afternoon collecting photos of people like Jason and Mike, and they wanted to do all the stuff. When it came out, it was one page that wouldn't identify any business by name except for Brown's, because Brown's is a member and the others aren't. So they'd say a coffee shop, a liquor store, and to me that was kind of an insult. And for this amount of money a month, they could have identified our businesses here by name, and actually used some of the photos that we also invested time to do.
And Denise emailed the exactly what the benefits of being in the chamber are, and I didn't really see anything as any value add in those items.
Well, I will and say be frank on this. I did get to speak as mayor at a chamber meeting, a chamber event down in East Greenwich area last year, and I'm slated to do that again in, I want to say late May or early June. I think. I'm trying to find a date right now.
So don't cancel it.
It's in June. It's in June 2014 or June 14 of 2018, which is a good event that gets a fair amount of coverage and allows me to put some things out there and keep Hoosick Falls on the radar for good reasons. I don't fully understand, and this is not my specialty, the economic development side of things, so I definitely would be open to what you guys have to say. My thoughts is right now we leave it in the budget. We have a discussion later about if you want to stay or not and get more information and maybe sit down with them and make some more specific plans on how they can help us. But those are just my thoughts on it.
I got an email this afternoon from Maureen McGinnis, who's the Economic Advancement and Member Relations Manager. And in her email, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Mm-hmm. She said, I've been to all of the Hoosick Rising meetings since they began except the last one. I had minor surgery. At that one, apparently, it was decided that Hoosick Rising should turn into a Chamber of Commerce.
No, it was not decided.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot, I knew you would correct me. There is, but I'm only going by this email. There is a lot of history to this movement. Normally, when a municipality has a question about chamber membership, they ask myself or the chamber president to come and present at a meeting, and we do. Instead, we received a phone call late in the day, I'm assuming that's from Denise, asking for a member benefit sheet. I agree that Hoosick Falls needs something. However, I think the better course might be a downtown improvement corporation. Funding is available for these from New York State. Normally, a regional chamber is involved in establishing these. We have expertise in doing this. However, as I didn't know that this was something Hoosick Rising was going to pursue, as I missed the last meeting, I was not able to bring this up. If the trustees would like me to present, I can be reached, yada, yada, yada. So
there were ideas put out. There was a survey sent out to people who are stakeholders of the Hoosick Rising group of what are priorities, and that was one of several ideas that came up as a possibility for the future of that group, or to have the group be put into action. But beyond that, no decision was made. And to say, at least to reply, not that she's here to reply to it, but why isn't that something they've set up for us or offered to set up in the past?
Right.
Just coming to the meetings to me is passively participating because we're members, and I appreciate that they do come. But at the same time, I see it as a lot of money we're spending for. I feel like the ship has sailed on what chambers do in general. A lot of them have closed and merged, especially even in our area. They need to keep this membership, or else they are. I get that they need that, and it's if they come present, it's a sales pitch. I mean, that's what it really is. It's a sales pitch. So I just say I'm not buying anymore.
My thought is that I would at least like to hear them out, even if it's at the next meeting, and hear them and then make a decision after that. We can always take that extra. I mean, how much are we going to save? A couple $100 maybe, $100 or whatever it's going to be. Not that we owe it to them to do that, and we certainly don't have to. And I just look at it from, and I understand Brian's frustration, but I also understand that you can't just cut somebody's legs off just because you can. So, and I think you need to express that at the meeting. That look at how come you guys weren't doing this? How come you weren't doing that? And maybe you have, Brian. I don't know, but I just don't think you can just cut them off and just say no. We're not. We're going to go in a different direction. That's my thought, and the board is welcome to do it, whatever it wants to do. But Those are my thoughts. So.
I
Yeah,
mean,
man, I'm okay with it.
you know, I think, yeah, what Rob said, I mean, we're not authorizing to spend the money, we can still make the decision on that later and keep the money in the budget now and make the decision later.
But I think it's worth a good chance.
And I don't think we have to wait 6 months to do it. I think we can do it, get a hold of them and get them up here next meeting or the June meeting. May meeting might be a little tough, but by the June meeting. But just.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But I just want to bear in mind that when they come, it is a sales pitch. It is not it's a, we need to convince you with this info to stay subscribing.
We need action,
Yeah.
not just what they can.
No,
do.
they
And they've had a
need
lot
to,
of time to do this.
right, and
together.
they need to come with concrete
Mhm.
ideas and what they're going to do for us.
They promised
that's-
a satellite office here for multiple times over the last few years, and Alex has had that in Eastwick a few times at various points. There's been a lot of, to me, it's money we don't have right now, and a lot of businesses have pulled out because the chamber doesn't do anything for them but have awards and things.
And it's $760 doesn't seem like a lot of money, but it's a pump here or a pump there.
Yep.
It's something that, it can't add up. So I agree with it, it's definitely worth the conversation.
And again,
discussion.
while I agree with that, I just think
Yeah.
we should at least hear them out, and then if we vote them out, then we do.
Like I said, we're not spending the money, by approving the budget, we're not spending the money,
Correct.
so that's
Right. Okay.
fine.
All right. Anything else on the budget? If not, I'm looking for a motion to adopt the final budget for
Mo-
2019 year.
Sorry, motion?
Ben?
Second.
Brian? Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We don't need a roll call for that, right? Correct. Okay, great. Certainly.
Hey, Bob, just one question. I know we discussed the 911 money. Have you heard anything or?
No, I didn't get any, I guess, what I suggest is that you hold off on payment
Okay.
and it's sitting in there. I can't remember our last conversation was that my understood where we were coming from.
Okay.
I think they need to do some research on it. I don't think they can do the research.
Okay.
I don't
No, I just wondered if you had, okay.
think we should be sending payments to them. They'll come knocking on our door.
If we don't.
And then we can respond by, well,
Okay.
sure, that's
All right.
Okay. I'm going to introduce a resolution that would authorize the village assessment roll be based on the town of Hoosick's assessment roll evaluation. Should I read the whole thing, Andy?
I think you should.
Okay.
Fairly free. It's an
All right.
important.
Resolution pursuant to New York real property tax law. Better go faster, right? All right. Whereas the village of Hoosick Falls has heretofore prepared and maintained an assessment roll pursuant to New York real property tax law 1402, parentheses 1, setting forth assessed values as determined by the village of Hoosick Falls assessor. And whereas the village of Hoosick Falls is situated wholly within the town of Hoosick, Rensselaer County, and whereas the town of Hoosick also prepares and maintains an assessment roll, setting forth assessed values as determined by the town of Hoosick assessor, and whereas pursuant to New York real property tax law 1402, the Board of Trustees of a village may, by resolution, authorize the village assessor to use the assessment roll of the town in which such village is located as the basis for the village assessment roll so far as practicable. And whereas the village of Hoosick Falls Board of Trustees determines that it is in the best interest of the property owners located in the village of Hoosick Falls that the village assessor use the assessment roll of the town of Hoosick as the basis for the preparation of the village of Hoosick Falls assessment roll, so far as practicable. Now therefore, be it resolved by the village Board of Trustees of the village of Hoosick Falls in special session duly convened as follows. 1. The Board of Trustees of the village of Hoosick Falls, in accordance with provisions of New York real property tax law 1402, hereby resolves that the village of Hoosick Falls assessment roll shall be based on the assessment roll of the town of Hoosick so far as practicable. This resolution shall remain in effect unless and until it is rescinded by a subsequent resolution of the Board of Trustees of the village of Hoosick Falls. A copy of this resolution is hereby directed to be filed with the town of Hoosick, County of Rensselaer, and New York Office of Real Property Tax Services. So that is the resolution in its entirety. Do we need a motion for the resolution first?
No, someone introduces the resolution, someone seconds it, and then
Will
the
it
roll
be,
call
I'm
vote.
sorry, will it be public comment first, Rob?
We're gonna, after we do the initial stuff. So I've introduced it, I need a second.
Second.
All right, Bobby, thank you. At this point now, we are going to discuss it. Just as an idea, how many people want to address this specific issue out there? Just one. All right. Do you want me to speak first? You guys want to speak first? I'm okay either way. Okay, go for it. Just say your name and ask for the record, please.
Well, my name is Jim Stacy. I'm not a village resident, 10 Sunrise Drive. I'm an attorney. I do have, I'm here to address the town assessment, which obviously impacts the village. And would ask you at the end of the day to consider maybe not voting on it today, after I maybe suggest a few things, just a thought. And I am here also on behalf of certain village residents, which I don't believe I need to specify, and they prefer that I don't. I believe it's okay for me to speak anyhow because I drive through the village every day. I do want to say it's very refreshing to be here because I started my day at 8 a.m. with a whole bunch of stuffy legislators at the Capitol, so this is really nice. So I feel like it's friendlier crowd.
Give us time.
I mean, I feel like
I
we'll
think,
get done.
Mayor, that you kind of like 3 minutes is like your thing, right?
Yeah.
I'll shoot for that.
Thank you.
Man. Please come on. All right. I'm here because not just because of folks in the village that are kind of wondering what's up, but for my own personal interest, because I got an eye opener when my property was reassessed. And I have to tell you, so I went on a journey. Okay, let me tell you the lens that I'm looking through. First of all, I've been an attorney for 25 years. A lot of that's real property. I've been very involved with real estate for more than that. And so that's my lens. I've done a lot of finance with it. I'm very familiar with the court proceedings. The last 10 years, most of my issues have been addressed in the Supreme Court with issues involving the government. So I understand the importance of trying to resolve things at the local level, as opposed to going to the Supreme Court or even small claims court. And that's where these grievance things could go. So that's my lens. I would ask you to consider two takeaways from what I'm going to say here today. Is number one, if you would clarify for the village and the town the access to the grievance process. The mayor and I had a brief discussion by phone the other day, and I've had a number of discussions with Tony. He's been superb to work with, by the way. I've had many discussions as best as I could with GAR. That's our assessment folks. I'm not getting all the response I would like, but I am getting a response from them. And I'm getting an incredible response from Tony Rice, other people who have been very, very, very helpful and have educated me. But I do want to read you something out of the town minutes, because this is significant, I think. And Mayor, I'm going to pick on you if I could.
Fire away.
And I'm not. You're not a real property guy, I'm guessing. So I won't hold this against you. What I'm reading out of the town minutes, and it was in the last couple of times, is this. May 22nd is grievance day for property owners who have gone through the informal review process and are not satisfied with the decision. Contact Assessor Rice for additional information on this process. Now, is everyone here familiar with the informal review process that I'm referring to here?
Yeah.
That's
One
what we got.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I did it.
Okay, right, okay. So, sir, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name?
I'm Bob Ryan.
Bob, okay. Would you think, based on that sentence, if I could ask, that if you did go through the informal review process, and you're kind of like, I blew it, I can't get to the grievance day?
No, I know that's not the case.
Correct, thank you. You know, but that's the thing. I'm sorry?
Probably a lot of people don't know that.
Yes, and again, it was not an intentional mistake by anyone with the town. Those guys are working really hard. So in Gar, you're exactly right, Bob. You know, but the problem is people don't realize that.
But I went just because I wanted to hear what they had to say. I mean, my value went up like 5.2 times. So, but I have a problem with it. But I just went because I wanted to be able to understand the process. So when people like yourself came and asked these questions.
Right, exactly.
I just had this conversation with my mother-in-law before I came here. So.
Yeah, and I may have already used up my 3 minutes.
You're fine.
But this is important, I believe, because first of all, I'll probably show up at the town meeting and say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The wrong information is out there.
Is that the minutes from the meeting?
That's the minutes.
Okay. Because that could be a clerical error as well, correct?
It is not a clerical error because it's a cut and a paste. It rolled over 2 or 3 times.
Okay.
I don't know if the village puts it in their minutes, but I realize Tony does both sets. And so again, it's just that people still have a shot. Okay, you may not get that many, even though there's been a big reassessment. But I've talked to enough people that are very educated enough. Oh man, I blew it. Okay, that's not the case. So somehow, right. and with all due respect to Tony, again, who's done an excellent job. The letter that went out, someone else wrote it, I'm sure, kind of said the same thing. And that, and so again, and I've had this discussion with them, and I could very well be addressing it.
The point goes to when it comes around to us, because we're the last ones to fully adopt it.
Yeah.
This is for our
2019-20. Right.
But we'll have to make sure when that time comes, and likely after they have to address it with the town, they understand that they also would have to use the village for that.
Because that's our agreement is federal. Right?
Yeah. Right. And it's my understanding that even though the village grievance day has gone by, village people can grieve the town taxes on May 22nd.
That's correct.
Okay, and again, I don't think people realize that. Most people just don't know how to do it.
It'll come back up right around that time and start on the top.
Yeah. So again, I'm just suggesting that somehow we get the word out. That's the first takeaway. The second takeaway is the process. I mean, many of the folks in this room are very familiar with the variables when they reassess your house. There's 5 or 6 key ones. I don't think I even need to state them. Or do I?
I'd like you to.
Yeah, I would. I would
like
to hear it too.
I'd like to hear your take on it.
Okay. Yeah. Neighborhood, square footage, type of house, age of house. Help me out, a couple more.
Bathrooms, bedrooms.
I got, what, pardon?
Bathrooms, bedrooms.
Yep.
Thank you. Bathrooms and bedrooms and acreage.
Right. Parcel
Those
size.
are
Right,
those are the standard set. Okay. Now, and it makes sense, And also, what makes sense is that they compare my house to 5 or 6. I have a ranch, sort of a ranch.
Old style, new style. I know that's.
Well, I think you guys know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, and so it's not a real ranch. And I saw they compare me to 4 or 5 other ranches with about the same stuff in it, right? Okay, that's okay. That's all right. And they did it in my neighborhood. It was a fault. They hit about 4 of them. Those were other properties like mine, which I'm addressing with Tony and saying, no, they're not like mine, and we right now respectfully disagree with each other, but that may change. I'm waiting for my final GAR number. And folks in the village did the same thing. But if you go onto the website, the Town of Hoosick website, and you go down and click on the comparison of your property, you folks know what I'm talking about? And you can pull up the 5 houses that are like yours.
Yep.
And then have you clicked on sales? What came up?
Not much.
Exactly.
There's not a lot of comparable sales.
Exactly. And again, it's not yours right now.
That's the way it is.
I appreciate that they have that information.
Like a year or more.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Or they're far out, like a year or more.
Right. Hey, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm going with this. So we're going to be a full assessment with this, okay? Full assessment, market value, and I think that means what I can sell my house house for? Do people agree with that? Market value, what a realtor would want me to sell it for? Is that fair? Well, if there aren't any sales, where do they get the starting number?
My house value of what it sold for.
Hey.
To me.
Okay, right, but when there's no comparables, that sold, and I'll suggest they brought in assessors from Buffalo.
Yeah, well, where we go.
Well, okay, what I'm saying, okay, thank you.
I'm getting out of. There's a lot of stuff.
What I'm going to ask you is, before you vote, understand what's in there. Don't vote and then find out, because the information in there is not accurate. They're not. We are not being told, and I've tried to get the input, the coefficients of those 5 variables, the input to get a house that, say that a house is worth $85. If you have no sales, you can't have a starting number unless you make it up. And if a guy from Buffalo, New York, is making up the number for Hoosick Falls, I think we have a problem. And that's what, and I'll leave you with that. And I'll leave you with that.
All right, thank you.
I mean, just to speak to a little of what you had to say is that I both, I think on the board and individually and privately expressed that I don't think that that GAR, JR, whoever I've not been impressed by their process. I wasn't impressed by the letter I got, the inaccuracies, the lack of explaining where did my screened porch come from that I don't have? Where did the extra square footage come? And I mean, and frankly, I live across the street from the railroad in a house from 1837 that was invented before photography. So when I get mine and it is the number that's on there, I'm a little bit like, okay, I'm not exactly living in the high-class neighborhood, and I'm not exactly living in a wonderful, quiet, peaceful location. But I agree. I think there's a lot of stuff in there it was sloppily done, and their videos on their website I think were a dumpster fire because they're way too long. They're 9 minutes, they're 7 minutes in a minute. In a world where we have Twitter, you got to explain and give the facts on people's level. So I agree with a lot. Although I'm looking at it in the sense if we adapt it, the town we'll be in sync with the town. We won't have 2 very different tax rolls and drag it out for us, but our numbers will change with the town. And then we can also adjust ours as we go, as we find there are. I feel like instead of trying to adjust 2 rolls individually or waiting for the town one to be fixed, we can do them in tandem, where they can be fixed in tandem instead of, and I think that'll be a lot less confusing. I'm just speaking for me. I don't know if anybody else is on the same page.
Basically, the rollout was not anywhere you like.
Right.
And this is not the perfect thing, but it's a step in the right direction.
And we should try to as they're correcting any things that might be wrong, we should be making the process parallel instead of, well, we're over here with our own. And then, am I making sense with
you're
that?
correct.
Do you want to share anything?
Yeah.
Sure, and what the real property tax law in this situation provides is your village assessor, you will retain your village assessor, uses the values of the town roll, adopts them but uses them as a starting point. He still has to independently look because of the different dates for the assessment roll, for the taxable status date. He needs to look at these properties. That's why in the resolution there's the phrase, as far as practicable, meaning you just don't take a lock, stock, and barrel. There's still a duty on the village assessor to prepare the roll and look at the properties and see if anything has changed since the last taxable status date. It does provide some consistency. The mayor is correct that, and it certainly can be explained, it can be put on your website, it can be rolled out, that the dates for grievance day as between the town and the village are different. And while people may go through the grievance process to challenge the assessments on the town roll, when the village adopts its 1920 roll, that will likewise be subject to grievance. So they retain the right to do that. And as the resolution did say, this will stay in place until a further resolution is adopted. You can decide this actually is not working. We don't want to do this. You have the ability to adopt a resolution saying we're not doing that anymore. So you do have that ability.
Information.
Andy, do you feel anything that was said so far should keep us from doing? Does anything that you've heard tonight cause you pause to say,
No,
you know what,
nothing
I
I've
think
heard
you should
tonight-
table it,
right.
and I think you should wait a month?
No, nothing I've heard tonight raises, we'll call it a legal impediment to you acting. These are practical issues that the village residents should understand. Correct. Yep.
To me, it seems like it's always going to be a work in progress. Am I right about that, or am I not right about that?
Well,
That there
look,
are
what-
things that we do have some control, even if we adopt the resolution.
Well, that's correct. 2 points. One, we're not gonna know what the final town roll looks like until July.
Right.
So we don't know what changes may be made to that. We hope everyone understands they can continue to grieve their assessment even if they didn't go through an informed process. The law allows them to do that.
Yep.
And if they do think their assessment is incorrect, they have every right to go and grieve that in May. And if they don't like the determination of the Board of Assessment Review, they have further legal options, and that can be explained.
All right.
So that's one. And then 2 is, when you say you still have further options, you do. You can decide this has gone off the rails and decide we don't want to do this, and you can go back. And again, I'm going to emphasize your village assessor does have the duty to make sure that he arrives at assessments that are appropriate for the village, using the town roll as the starting point. And look, as a practical matter, most of it will probably end up looking like the town roll, but must independently look at the properties because there's a different taxable status.
In each case.
In each
If-
case.
if- right.
And an example of that is, a home exists on the property as on the town tax status date, but then has a catastrophic fire and it burns prior to the village tax status date, which is January 1. That's got to be taken into account by the assessor when preparing his tentative roll. So those are the things that there is still a little bit of discretion.
Thanks, Andy.
And I feel it gives us at least a starting point. It's something to base it on. And again, I'm sure, I mean, like myself, a lot of people aren't happy with it, but then I think about it, it hasn't been changed in 40 years. And I've been in my house for 36 years, and I feel like I've been undertaxed probably for 36 years. But I didn't raise my hand and say, "Oh, please increase my assessment." So and I had this argument with my mother-in-law just about before I came down here, and needless to say, she's not happy with hers. But I mean, that's everybody's prerogative to go ahead and have the grievance process. That's why it's there.
Yeah.
And and I understand your points, Jim, and I and respect that. It's just, I'm not making light of that, but
And if I was sitting over there, I'd say exactly the same thing, and I would adopt it ultimately. What I was just suggesting, just as a footnote, it's all about leverage. You guys have leverage now with GAR. I don't know if the town, I don't know if it's already internet. I guess it is. But GAR needs to be forthcoming, and I'd like to get the information without having to do a FOIL request. What are the coefficients? What the science and the art? I understand the science. I want to know the art that they use to do it, and then Tony will step in. And I know he knows what's going on. But it's like a lot of people just don't know what I know or what you know about, right? That's all. So I'm just saying it's about leverage. That's why I came here today.
Any comments? I guess in this case, if you guys are ready to move on this, we need a motion to adopt the resolution.
No, it's been.
Sorry.
yeah, you already.
Yeah, you
I'll
already.
get used to these.
Sorry.
By year.
Are you new?
Yes or no?
Yes.
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 All right. Thank you. Thank you for comments, and thanks for the comments to work on that. Moving on to local law number 2, 2018, to establish parking restrictions on certain sections of Elm Street.
Where's Terry?
Should have come.
I know, but it's Terry's law.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jim.
Nope. Or maybe. No.
Do we need that?
Oh, is that this one? Do I have that one?
It's probably right here, right? That shows you.
We'll go three. Ah, this is it.
This
Must
is
be it.
for today.
Can I have mine back now?
Oh, it's just stole it.
We're gonna put the sign in.
All right.
If we approve the law. But this is
How much
to
of
set a
this
date
do
for
you want
public
me to
hearing on it.
No, this
So
is,
just now the public hearing, right?
Public
Yeah.
hearing is probably gonna be the next
All right.
meeting, and after the
Yep.
public hearing, we can vote on it.
All right. No. All right. So all we're doing with this is we're introducing it. We're looking for a motion to set a public hearing on this. This will be local law number 2 of the year 2018, a local law to enact parking restrictions on certain sections of Elm Street in the village of Hoosick Falls.
Motion?
What date do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Meeting?
But for the next meeting, I'm sorry, yeah.
June 12th?
What?
May,
No,
right, I'm
May-
sorry, May,
May-
oh yeah. I'm
Wait,
jumping
what?
ahead.
May when?
I was wondering why you
May-
wanted to go to
May-
June already.
May-
Because you really think this is the May meeting,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
you?
May-
So just to throw it out there as a side thing, I talked about the possibility of moving to May 8th to 15th,
Yeah.
but now on May 15th they want to be used for something else, and with the sewer project they want to discuss, want to keep the meeting at the May 8th. So are you guys okay with the May 8th?
Totally
You
fine.
guys know?
Yeah,
That's our
so I
meeting
motion
date
to
anyway.
accept the hearing for
You'd be so excited.
But
For local law number 3.
Two.
local law number 2.
Three. All right.
Yeah.
Two, we'll get to
I'll
three.
call
in a
that
minute.
zoning.
All right.
Motion by me, yep,
All right,
May.
motion by Brian. I need a
Second.
Second, Ben, thank you.
You want
Any
it?
discussion on this?
No.
Is that how question?
Alex?
So I actually do have
We need it
a discussion on it, but we can do it when we open it up. But
Oh, yeah.
this is more than she was asking for. Like, we're setting more restrictions than what she was
What do you
here.
mean?
From what I heard, she wanted it in front of her shop, and now we're doing it the full length of both streets, causing possibly more chaos for the other residents. When she was really only saying, I only need 2 parking spots in front of my house, and now we're going to disturb all the residents on both sides of that street who might park the way this is written.
Yeah, it does have north and south side, do we have to do both sides? Or can we do just one?
But just from First Street to Railroad Ave.
Right, which is basically the railroad crossing to First Street.
But both sides, and then the hours are she's not open at 6 a.m. So if we're doing it for that business, why 6 a.m.? Why are we,
Because you can't have people parking overnight, that's why.
Yeah.
Well, but if she's not there till 9, what difference does
Does
it
that
make?
match continuity with other roads? The 2, 6 a.m. and 6 p.m.?
What
Do we
you
have any
could,
other roads
what
in
you
the area?
could do is measure from, like, the train tracks west.
Right.
2 or 3 parking
Good
spots in front of her
Yeah.
business.
Although-
That's kind of what I thought I
Unless we're
heard the
gonna
other night.
Paint parking spots, I'd rather it went just from corner to the corner of First Street, and then the other side be not on here, the south side. Be
Right.
struck.
What
Because-
I'm also gonna raise on this is, what you have to guard against is adopting a local law for a parking restriction that is really for the benefit of one.
Specifically for
limited
one,
Right.
right, and that's why.
That's got some legal
You're only
problems
actually
associated with
you're talking 2 other residences on the same side of the street.
I need to go down there and stand.
Yeah, it's, I drive, I mean, it's on.
But it's also the way it's written right now, it's also the other side.
Right,
of
but
the street.
there's no parking on that, I don't think there's any parking on that side of the street anyway, is there on in front of, like, Terry Muskie's house? I've never
I'll go
seen a
down
car
and look
parked
at
there
it
in my
before
life.
before the
They
meeting.
park there.
And understand, this process is, technically, this is called introductory local law number 2. It's just been introduced. And they'll have a public hearing, they'll allow on notice, people to come in and comment. If you want to hear those comments, if you want to make a change to the law, you have every right to do that. The law simply has to be in final form on your desk for a period of time. You put it on your next agenda, and you could act on it then. Or if you make no changes, you could adopt it after the public hearing is closed, that you face in the public comment. But all that's been done thus far is it's been introduced and subject to public
And if we
hearing.
modify it, we don't have to have another public hearing, correct, Amy, or do we?
Well, the touchstone is, there's no black and white. If there's been any substantial change to the law, that's up to the discretion of the board. Then you would need to renotice a whole another public
Okay,
hearing.
so it could get delayed another
It
month
could.
possibly,
It
okay.
could. If there's what's deemed to be a substantial change to the body of the law, you have to renotice. I'm also gonna note for the record that this particular local law is what's called a type 2 action under seeker. There's no seeker review, that's why there's no environmental assessment form. Traffic control devices are listed on the type 2 list.
It's coming through secret, it's coming through up a little bit.
Yeah.
Who knows what's coming next whenever you hear about
Okay,
it.
if someone has a nail emergency and they need to get there early,
But it's deceiving too, Craig. In this, it says north and south, but it actually is about it's about 100 yards. Total.
Yeah, I'm gonna go down. Like I said, I'll go down there before we bring
It's
it up.
from the tracks to First Street.
I just don't want to create more disturbance than
Right.
necessary.
And right now, the house across the street is vacant,
Closed, yeah.
and the other house has a driveway, and they park on First Street.
But you're thinking more of restrictive, just being restrictive on that side of the street. And at some point, hopefully, the houses will be
occupied.
And then what do you do? So if you pass it the way it is, then what do you do? So at least you talk about it and get it out there.
And the other problem is that the other issue is the people who are causing the problem live in those two residences past Terry's business, and they have a parking lot behind their building that their landlord provides, but they choose not to park in the parking lot.
Can you guys touch base with Neil and Andy over
Sure.
email and fill me in and just come up with whatever your
Sure.
recommendation would be next time we have it?
Yep.
Great.
And to be clear, Andy was adding something else. Basically, it can't be just this little area because we have to be fair and do more than it's a zone, not an individual.
Correct.
Okay.
Because then everybody's going to want no parking in front of their business from
Right.
6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
So we have to do it a specific way to be legal.
So this was originally just Terry wants parking, but you can't say you can only park here if you're going into Terry's business, right? So what does it say?
2-hour parking.
2 hour parking.
2 hour.
Okay.
Which we have around
Between
the
a
rest
certain time.
the other spots in the village as well.
And it sort of solves the problem of other people who are just kind of parking there all the time. Alright. In that case, I'm also going to introduce local law number 3 of 2018, a local law amending the village of Hoosick zoning map. We will also need to set a public hearing on this. The basic gist is we were looking over the zoning law and zoning maps. We discovered it was in fact not quite accurate.
What was wrong?
Tweak that.
Wasn't enclosed.
First off, it still says drafts.
Number one, the
Well, that's something we want to.
right, the zoning map that's listed on the village website. Number one does still say draft.
Yep.
But more importantly, number two, when this went from the zoning map and actually placed on a written map, it was either stretched or it didn't line up properly, so that the zoning district boundary lines did not follow the property lines and actually bisected parcels and put them in different zoning districts.
Is this the corrected map here?
This came up when one property owner came in and said, I need to apply for a use variance. Well, why do you need a use variance? Because part of my property is not in the industrial zone, it's in the residential zone. Well, that doesn't make sense. What happened here? We investigated, we went back to Barton and Wajudas that did the mapping and asked them to look at this, and they actually produced a map that was correct with the property line overlay. That's the map that you have there. And said, actually, it does follow the property lines, and that's the correct one. It actually places this particular property completely in the industrial district, which was clearly the intent of the zoning law.
So half of my property is residential, and the other half is industrial. As is all the properties on my street. So
What's that?
that's my property right there. That's my line. This is residential. This is industrial. Waterworks Road. So that's 101, 103, 107, 109. This is Downey's. No, that's my property.
How can you tell on that little map?
I know where I live.
Oh my God, I hope so.
What?
I hope you know where you live.
I usually find my way home.
Like where the line?
Yeah, I'm looking at my property line.
You ought to be looking. That's the color.
Same difference. Yeah, this is my property. It's residential
Yellow.
3, and then the purple, just purple ends my other half of my property, right there.
Because you go all the way back.
Yeah, I go down to this. This is 101. Yeah, I could build a shop back there. Huh?
Well, I mean, the
This
idea
is
wasn't
Downey's,
to, of this law wasn't
This is
to
Terry's mother.
change
Yeah,
any
but look at
property
my
lines. It
properties.
was to reset them as intended.
That's correct.
And zoning
Right, my
lines
house
as
is, but my
intended.
property's
That's
industrial.
correct.
So what we're telling Brian then effectively is, yep, and
Right
that's
on
the way
here.
it was intended.
And that's the way it was intended. And that's, we reviewed this, the building department's reviewed it.
What is
Went
it?
over it with Barton and
You can
do this.
serve this as
I
a
can.
backyard.
And in order to
Think-
correct the
I'm thinking
map,
about make non-stick pans.
because the,
Too soon?
because the zoning law was adopted by a local law, and the map is part of the zoning law, it needs to be amended by a local law. So
Okay.
that's the process. we'll go through.
There might be another, just as a, to throw this out there, the LWRP, which is the waterfront revitalization group, putting together. One of the first things that came up that both the state mentioned, some of you here from the state, and it came up that the entire river is zoned industrial. That's something we're probably going to, I just want to, don't know if this is the right time to, but to mention, we probably should reconsider that if we're going to try to invest in our riverfront. And if it's all zone industrial, it's really hard to get some grants and funding to do that. So we may want to consider the parts where there are currently factories remain industrial, and that the rest of the river be zoned park or some other recreation. Yep, parks and rec.
Right, that one I would suggest,
So hold on, but just as a
yes, because this is simply what amounts to a
correction.
typographical
Yep.
or an
Right.
administrative correction, because we've identified that was wrong. It eliminates the draft stamp on the zoning map, and
Okay.
this would become the zoning map. Now, this is an action that is subject to seeker review, so I'm gonna hand up the environmental assessment form, and what I need you to do
Yeah.
is just sign that and date it. That should stay on file here, and with that copy, because that's got the color on it, just make sure that that's on file too.
correct, which is
So in order to change all that from industrial, I think that would
So
as well.
And Andy, you
I'll mention
can
that
you
at the next,
scan that and just send that to me so I have
know
it
from
signed?
the Department of State that we should change it, but we could also change it a few other. That's good to know. I will add that to my.
Looks like we're gonna
motion.
try to clean this up and then maybe have some future discussions about it.
Yeah.
So I'll make the motion that we set the public hearing for local law number 3 for the May 8th meeting.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
I'll second that.
We started on the 6th,
6:30, right.
6:30.
If I can second that.
Okay.
Sorry, Ben, he got it.
No, that's all right.
No more
He's
like-
kind of quiet down there, so I'm not sure.
I don't hear that
Any
very
further
much.
discussion on that?
It's great. Got in
All
there
in
too.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, motion carries, thank you.
What time are you doing the parking restrictions here?
6 o'clock for parking restrictions, 6:30 for the, zoning one.
Bring your
And I'll
popcorn.
do the public hearing notices.
Alright.
And regular meeting
Thank you.
after that?
We'll start the public hearing, but we'll kind of progress to the regular meeting. If no one wants to speak in the time, we'll bounce back and forth. We normally do.
We'll address that going forward.
But maybe we'll address that going
Proceed.
forward.
We'll handle those. Generally, it's a good idea to open your public hearing, keep it open for a period of time, and then close it rather than go into additional business. You set your public hearing at 6.
Alright.
Ended at 6:30, do a half hour and
Well,
Or are you saying if no one, like,
if no one comes in to the
Then we
public
can close
hearing, you
it.
said it's 6.
You can close it at
6:15.
6:05 and nobody.
You can close it at 6:05.
Okay.
And that's the practice of many municipalities.
Yeah,
Does
to be
that
honest
mean
with
that
you.
the regular meeting is scheduled for 6 so that you can do them both kind of simultaneously?
And
Well-
one of the things going forward too is many boards will set their public hearings for 30 minutes before, 15 minutes before the regular meeting. People can come in and place their comments on those proposals and then move into your regular business meeting. But that's simply a procedural issue. If you haven't done that in the past, you should discuss that further.
yeah, especially with, now that we have 2 local laws on, I want to see how the scenario looks with 1 versus 2. So it sounds like we're gonna sort of do it a similar way as we've done in the past, the regular
You
meeting.
didn't hear
six,
you or
open,
chose
and
not
then
to?
going into the,
But it doesn't mean that you're gonna wait until 6:30 to start talking about regular business.
No, we'll start with regular business, probably after we close
Right.
it first, and then,
Yeah, you don't
That
need.
way, quite frankly, it's hard to keep a separate record of your public hearing on the proposed local law.
We're talking about other things.
Alright, on to other business. Looking for a motion to authorize the mayor to sign an easement for village property located at 22 Lyman Street and National Grid. This is all related to the sewer project where the pump station will located.
Motion.
Second.
Bobby, second Craig. Any discussion on this? Alright, that being said, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Looking for a motion to appoint trustee Ben Patton as the local representative to First Swama. That's Eastern Rensselaer County Solid Waste Management Authority. I can spell it out.
Don't waste your
And based on their bylaws, it is for a 5-year term.
Yeah.
Motion.
You're a funny man.
All right, so motion from Bobby.
Second.
Second from Vanessa.
God bless you, Vanessa. Thank you.
You took that
Initially, both Ben and Vanessa
You're
had
both,
stepped up to take that on, which was great because that was one of the things my first year that I had wanted to get to, and every single meeting except 4 of them, like something came up, I couldn't make it.
And we wanted to be co-people, but they won't allow it, so
Yes.
one of us has
Well,
to.
Ben, when you're there, don't trash the village, and I hope it doesn't
Trash the
stick.
village, I get it. Oh, very nice.
Very funny.
You
Knock, knock, who's
You
there?
have you button for him? All right. Okay, so thank you, Ben. Thank you, Vanessa, for offering to do that. We talked about even having, if Ben couldn't make it, if Vanessa wanted to sub, she could sub, she just can't vote because then our bylaws are wrong.
But not necessarily a bad idea, because then at least you would get the information and be able to keep us in the loop. Hopefully that won't happen, and I'll be able to make them all, but that's a good
All right.
idea.
So we have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Welcome to 5 more years.
Can you
Ben.
show up wearing all green in a garbage can?
Whatever you want, brother.
Moving on. All
Ask for the
right.
grass.
Motion to appoint Deb Alter to the zoning board effective immediately.
Motion?
Ben? Craig? Thank you. What do we have in the board right now?
Deb.
We had one gentleman stepped up yesterday that served on the zoning board just when Laura came into office and offered to be on the board again, so.
That's great. So will that get us?
Do we have that name to vote on tonight?
No, he's not ready. I don't think he's ready tonight.
I would have to send the zoning law out from the one up there, Bill Hazen.
Oh, Bill, great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh,
Do we have enough people after both?
Bill Hazen.
Yeah,
That's not his house.
So we need one more.
People
So you're
bring
closer.
him forward, or we'll have 4 with Deb. So, with Deb, so he could be 5. And we'd be all set. Oh, great. All right, so we have the motion. Any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Great. We have a letter from Jason Guinness concerning his approval
I
to
have no
apply
idea what that is.
for a liquor license. You
So
sent
he
me, though.
he had us just before for Unihog.
Yeah.
And we have to give our blessing or not. One thing he forgot to include, and they told him he had sent me. I think you were an email maybe too. No, he emailed me that
I got it.
they're also playing recorded music, which doesn't. It's just one of the stipulations of the license: live music, recorded music, no music for serving. They have to include that in there. He needed to notify us because we had approved it, just to approve it with that. I did reply to him and say I'd be fine with that as long as it's not smooth jazz, which is neither smooth nor jazz. And he didn't reply to my email, so I'm wondering if we should just put that in there to.
Whatever.
Do we have to approve it? Do we have to approve it
Well,
now?
actually, Andy, correct me if I'm wrong. We really don't. He's actually
just has to
notifying
notify
us.
us, yes.
We don't
He has
approve
to
or disapprove. The
notify
liquor
us.
authority
Correct.
does that.
Per the
If the
state
board,
liquor authority.
you're right, you don't have any approval
Right.
jurisdiction. If for some reason you wanted to oppose it, you could send a letter
Right.
to the liquor authority.
I think we should send a letter that we are in favor of it.
As long as there's no.
He got rid of the
Did you
roosters.
see
Now we
the
can let him have
Grateful
the.
Dead flags hanging in the window.
I
That's
know.
like
I thought he would get the joke.
So then so we should send a letter in support, is what you're saying?
I said,
We
can.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
will? Great.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's a
All
good
right.
idea.
For Unihog.
Unless you guys have anything else to add to or bring up?
I know
Oh boy.
you had emailed with something, and just a quick. I know I gave an update, but I'll one-on-one. After Marion
I know.
encouragement, I'll say at the last meeting, I
and beyond.
and beyond. To say when it comes to New York Alert, I was getting to the point of being, and have been equally as frustrated. I kind of might have sent out an email that was a little more impolite than I normally had been with them, and essentially appealed to possibly going, what, do we have to have the governor's office step in here? And all of a sudden I got calls from 4 different people that were higher ups going, what can we do? They are rolling over with a third-party vendor to the new system. There's been no new additions, but they're going to make us priority for onboarding. meaning getting everything ready and prepared for us to be added to the reverse New York alert or the reverse 911 New York alert system. Hopefully by June 13th. I'm gonna cross my fingers and hope so. Marion, you said you would. If anyone else would like to be on that call, just contact me to be called with the folks there just to see what do we need, what do we expect, and where do we go. And I want to make sure citizens are part of that too. What? And I know you wanted to, Jerome wanted to share something.
You want to share something? Yeah, I do. Oh, yeah, sure. Malone, 21st Street, Lane, Hoosick Falls.
Yes.
I'm a member of the Hoosick LDC.
Yes.
And I approached another member, John Help, with an idea. And my idea is to put a carved wooden owl right here, either in the park or right on this municipal building. Right. And there would be a speaker. And every night at sundown, the owl would hoot. And so, if you hear the owl hoot, it means that's sundown. Right? And so that would happen throughout the year. And I know a lot of people have kicked around the idea of how can we use the owl as sort of more or less a symbol of the town, and how do we get a little PR value out of the owl? And that's my idea. The LDC has authorized $300 expenditure, which will cover the carving, right, and hopefully a speaker if that's needed. And I approached Tree Craft in Brunswick. You might be familiar with them. As you're going toward Troy, they're on the right-hand side.
By the Sunoco station there? Yep.
And he happened to have a carved owl.
Farther down by the
Pool,
tractor place.
Yeah.
By the tractor place. Yeah, by the pool place. Yep.
He had one already. It's smaller than what I would like. I propose like 30 inches tall, which is about 1.5 times life size. And I have a picture here. This is the one he has. If you want to test that. And that's not fully painted, but I would paint the sculpture, to make it look as lifelike as possible.
And I'm glad it's not the hard face because those don't live in this area. So I like it's actually accurate to our species.
And so that's a great horned owl.
Keep pigeons away too.
Yeah.
It does.
Not the eyes though at night. I keep everyone away.
I think I can pull this off within our budget. As I look at the scenario here, my first idea was to put it on top of the gazebo. The advantage there is that it's a more natural setting. I think the disadvantage is that it wouldn't be seen. It's not as easy to see. It's probably more susceptible to vandalism, right? So then my wife said, really ought to go on a municipal building. This building is out in the open. If you want any tourism value out of it, if you like the idea, I think we should go right at the front of the building, right on the peak of the lower roof. Probably need a little help, in terms of whatever wiring would need to be done for a speaker. Right? So anyway, that's a proposal. I'd like you to consider it. And if so, then I will proceed. I'll order the bird, paint the bird, right, and then coordinate with whoever is responsible for your building maintenance, to get it up there.
Any concerns on the sound side of things?
I actually more of we have the solar panels on the roof, correct? And there'd have to probably be a platform for it. What do you need a lightning rod on it?
How is the base? How is the base of it? Like the feet?
This one was flat. I think that's the way it should be. So the roof is like this. Right. So you need to create a flat platform. Mm-hmm. And then once you've established that and screwed that to the roof and make sure it's weatherproof, then just screw that owl to that platform.
Mm-hmm. And I think that certainly the chances of vandalism are a lot less in the police station than they are on the gazebo.
Well, and it's right out in the open. Clearly right.
Where in the gazebo was
on top. On the top of the what is that
Top
called?
of the stairway up.
No, the
very
what's
top.
the architectural
Right word
structure?
for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cupola.
That
Thank
thing.
you, thank you. Cupola. Cupola. Although
So what I propose is right at the front of this building.
yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
There are two roof levels. This is the front roof.
Although I don't mind the cupola. I got the right word down. Either because in a way it's kind of a find it when you hear it in winter when the trees are more bare. You notice it. It's also our gazebo is kind of a centerpiece of the park. I'd be happy in either, but I kind of feel like. Besides, I want to see Bill Gallard's reaction to the band concert when he stops and there's hooting. And,
Yeah, that's yeah.
and there's already speakers up there too.
No,
So.
I didn't cover that issue with Bill.
What Bill Gallard? No, don't tell him.
But I didn't know. I mentioned it to him, and he said it was a cool idea.
He might hoot back at it.
But the thing is, on this building as well, we can always use the community service people who did all the renovations in
Yeah.
here, did a lot of stuff, and we might be able to have someone who's electrically literate to do that.
Yeah.
Thoughts and concerns?
Train somebody.
Well, I will say power-wise with the gazebo, the power is only on or off if you turn it on or off. Right. So
That's true.
That's a power source concern.
But also to
I don't
light it, I wouldn't mind
Solar
having
panels
it
you have
lit.
on it.
No, it's lighting up front.
With a light on it, like an uplight.
Wow, that's strapping and bringing
Hey, I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. It hadn't even occurred to me.
You're welcome.
Can we say, I mean, I'd like to make a motion that we move forward, but we get the fine details, we work with you, Tom, and we get the fine details with whoever we are going to have install it.
You want to try to get the details ready for the next meeting in 2 weeks?
And also, who would own it? Would it be donated to the village?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I need to know what you need me to tell you, because I think if it goes on a municipal building, we'll need some help with that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, so are you saying you need more information from me?
I think it sounds like we're saying we like the idea a lot, we want to move forward, and we need to basically plan out and talk to some technical people about how to pull it all
Right.
off. And that will give us what exactly we need.
Right, I think I'm all in favor of putting it in the front of the building like you're suggesting, but we just need to work out the details at our end
Sure.
of how it's gonna be wired and everything
I
else.
assume I should not order it yet.
Oh, I think that if you don't have to wire the all up, right, we're gonna have
You may
to.
want to wait on ordering because we don't have a platform.
Yeah, and all that.
I'm just thinking technically we want to make sure we have all the details in place.
And also, what colors you're planning? I'd like to know what it's going to.
Well, I want it to be as lifelike as possible, maybe a little accentuated, but basically the way the bird is.
Well, who would
Do you
paint
want to
that?
be a
No pun
painter,
intended.
or do you want to try to find someone who
Who would paint it?
who would get it?
You
want
paint
to
like
be
your
the one to
son?
paint it, or do you want to find someone?
How about Vanessa?
No,
Vanessa.
I know what his son can do, so I imagine he got it from somewhere.
Luke is in Texas.
But where can you do it?
Well, I figure I could follow a paint or a.
Paint by number?
I could always help too.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
I
wanna do
would definitely accept the volunteer to help.
No, if
I
you're
can help
good to
that.
do it, then
Vanessa's
great.
Yeah.
a very.
Hey, that's great.
That Bobby.
And are we going to name it or dedicate it in memory of someone?
Yes, I mean.
Definitely
I'll make
name
a
it.
Or have a contest to name it?
Oh,
You better shut that
PR guy, so.
Whoville.
You could also then get even farther and go into
You got
like,
any
maybe
suggestions?
you did with all the cancers.
Yeah, well, I'm everywhere.
And be a drawing card, like that, you did Alison Wilde.
Oh, this is going to sound quick.
These guys want to get out.
Hey, I
Yeah,
drove by here on
finalized by the
Fortnite.
meeting.
It's not too far off.
Bobby has a motion on to basically proceed with this plan and get details finalized for the May 8th meeting.
Is that okay, Tom? That's 2 weeks.
That's
Do
fine.
we need a motion for this,
I'll
or
be out
can
of
we just
town
say,
at that
we'll
point.
do it?
So please let me know when I have the okay to play.
Yeah, I'll reach out to you, Tom.
Okay.
Alright, then let's do it for the motion then. So Bobby, has a motion, do a second yet?
I'll make the motion.
Second. Vanessa.
Vanessa got it. Alright, any further discussion?
Yes. If we're doing sound on this, where is the sound going to come from? Who's responsible for the timing of it? If you're saying that it's supposed to be done at sunset, who's going to make sure that the time is done for that?
Spoke to John helped about that.
Yep.
He said, oh, that's easy.
Yeah, John's very
Mad
technical.
scientist.
Yeah.
There you go. Keep
John,
Well,
do it.
that's great, but I'm not going to vote yes on that's easy.
No,
Right.
well,
I'm
John,
good.
John is a computer guru. John
But
can
we're
make
going to need
anything.
that. We're going to need that information.
That's what we're
gonna-
Yeah,
Right, right.
because that's not something that I
The
would just
speaker
say.
will
Yeah,
probably
let's
be
go ahead and do it.
concealed in the
John's
rear,
very, very-
so it'll come
John
from
builds
the.
computers. Okay.
What's that, Brian?
So we'll work on
I-
the details over
The
the
thoughts
email
I
you
got
have.
there through.
We still
I
have a
don't know.
motion on the table to proceed with this and get the details ready for the May.
Which email?
I'm done speaking.
A man with a garden,
Say that again?
a man with a garden
At Gmail.
at gmail.com.
Gotcha.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks,
Great
Tom.
idea.
Thank you.
Ben, please send me an email with your request.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll pass
Yep.
it along to
Yep.
John.
I'll
Two
take
quick
care of it.
announcements. This Saturday is opening day for baseball softball, and this Saturday evening is the run through the late run to the road and all the cool glow stuff. But I forget which group is doing that.
Oh, that's the Kiwanis.
Come on, thank you.
Autism March.
Also, street sweeping will begin on May 8th, and will go through June 8th. Sweeping will be done as follows. Sweeping will start in the following order by ward. This is a crazy order, so everybody ready. First ward, second ward, third ward, fourth ward. Even house
What's
numbers
that?
will be swept on even calendar days, and odd house numbers will be swept on odd calendar days. Cars must be on the opposite side of the street on odd even days for your street to be swept completely. The department will likely make the final sweep of all yards, all wards. Sorry. Can you put this on Facebook? All right, great.
Yes.
Thank you, Neil.
Yes.
Neil, can we coordinate that with Bob as far as enforcement too? Because I really don't want people, if we're gonna go around sweeping the streets, people need to comply like they're supposed to during snow removal. I'll talk to Bobby and make sure he knows what's going on. And I know it's gonna be difficult, but I mean, people need to start, we need to enforce it. I mean, it looks like heck if you have, you're going around a car and there's all the dirt. As soon as the car's gone, it looks like you didn't do anything. It ends up down the street anyway.
Well, they expect you to come right back.
I know, and right.
You could always put a big plow on one of the dump trucks and go down the street in front of them.
I'm all in. I agree.
Unofficially, yes.
All right. All right. In that case, if there's no further business for the table, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive discussion with no formal business after this.
Motion.
Ben, second.
Second.
Brian, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion